Hi there. The festive season is upon us, and at least in three states in the country, we're seeing a rise in COVID-19 numbers. In fact, there's a sense of deja vu. Initially, in the beginning of the year, before the second wave hit us, we'd seen similar sort of crowds in the markets. We, in fact, had seen election rallies, we had seen religious congregations, which resulted into a deadly second wave. Now, in the festive season, despite several warnings by the government of India, by the health ministry, to make sure that we avoid crowds, we avoid going out during festive season, celebrating festivals in full swing, we are still seeing crowded markets in several places like the national capital, but other parts as well. West Bengal, for example, we've seen the visuals during the Durga Puja season. People, just cluttering next to each other, not wearing masks, not following COVID appropriate behavior. And, the sense of deja vu is, in fact, very, very unnerving. Joining me today is Dr. Gauri Agarwal. She's from Yashoda Hospital. Dr. Gauri, my first question to you is the kind of visuals that we just played for you as well. Isn't it scary? Isn't it something that people should not do, despite, say, a large number of us are vaccinated now?
So, Runjan, first of all, I would like to say that India is basically a country of festivals. I mean, how can you stop people from celebrating? And I mean, that means after 2 years. So, I think the most important thing today is that people should be made aware that vaccination is the first thing they need. And definitely, thanks to our PM, I mean, Modi ji, he's like vaccinated around 100 crores. That's like a big, big task. And now he's still getting into deeper places where people should know that vaccination is the first thing, because even after vaccination there can be breakthrough infections, and but they won't be that severe enough that they need hospitalization. So I mean, getting and celebrating festivals in India, you can't stop people so much after 2 years of like break. So first of all, the most important thing is that I think markets should be opened in some, either there should be some restriction in markets, or masks should be compulsory, sanitizers should be there, vaccination should be made mandatory. And I mean, people should be made aware that there can be breakthrough infections and there can be a third wave because of this. So let them celebrate at their home, not getting into clusters, not throwing out parties. I mean, that is what they basically need today.
So, some sort of restrictions, say markets opening up in a phased manner, like you suggested, or like odd and even, which the Chief Minister of Delhi loves to do. Do you think this is the right time to implement some of these restrictions in marketplaces? Because these crowds could be dangerous, really.
Definitely. I mean, there should be some restrictions and there should be certain precautions in the market. But I think we should let people tell them that they can celebrate their festival with full swing, love, and happiness. But definitely, they should also take some precautions, and the government should throw out regulations that, the marketplaces should have order even or some specific days. Masks should be mandatory even in the markets. Very, very important. Vaccinated people should get vaccination. I mean, so many people are still avoiding to have vaccination done.
Dr. Gauri, you make a very important point there. Celebrating festivals with a lot of love and laughter doesn't really mean that you have to crowd the markets, right? You can do it at home. You can do it with family, with your select friends. But having said that, let me ask you another question. Now, in the national capital, for example, over 90% of people have antibodies. This is something that this year's survey is suggesting. Uh, how much of a protection does this really give us? And does this mean that we can celebrate festivals more than we did, say, in the last year, 2020?
See, definitely antibodies give you a protection against a very serious kind of COVID, what we had in the second wave. And after the second wave, we realized that so many people are vaccinated. And because of vaccination or because of the prior infection, people have antibodies. But we should not forget it's a virus. It's going to replicate, it's going to mutate, and variants will come. So once the variants come, we understand that there can be another infection. But definitely, I'm very positive with the fact that the vaccine which we are taking today are protective against any variants which is gonna come against this deadly virus. So once we understand that, we are vaccinated, we have antibodies, definitely we can get an infection which is known as a breakthrough infection after the vaccine, but definitely not a very serious one. So
Yeah.
instead of just avoiding moving out, or important is precaution. Vaccination,
Yeah.
that's what I always say. Your mask, that is to N95, not a cotton mask, not a normal mask. And N95 should be made mandatory in the markets too. I mean,
That is a very valid point because an N95 mask is capable of giving you much more protection than, say, a
exactly.
regular cloth mask or a cotton mask would. That is also something that all our viewers who are watching us right now should definitely keep in mind. Now, 100 crore vaccination mark, Dr. Gauri, this is something that India just achieved. It's a big number, but there are several people who are still avoiding that second dose. There are over 11 crore people in the country for whose the second dose is overdue. They're not taking it. I'll give you an example. For my cook, in fact, she tells me that दीदी first dose तो ले लिया अभी second dose लेंगे fever आएगा क्या फायदा है. How do you explain to people that that fever is temporary? It'll last a day or maximum two, but the protection will is something that'll go a long way.
I think the most important thing is what we, or maybe the government should throw out campaigns, is that what is post vaccination. I think what is people are having a myth about. Like, we get so many queries, like post vaccination there is fever. Have I got COVID again? Post vaccination, there is body ache. Is that flu or is that COVID? Should I get vaccination in menstrual cycles? Should I get
Yeah.
vaccination when I'm pregnant? Should I get vaccination when I'm breastfeeding? I mean, there should be strict guidelines, there should be strict campaigning, which should go out to people and tell them that vaccination is absolutely safe any time of the period. And you will have fever or a mild flu or a kind of a body ache, which is absolutely normal. And that is very minimal as compared to what you can get a COVID and your consequences can be. So I think
Yes.
setting up campaigns, throwing out data, throwing out materials to the people and telling them that this is absolutely normal. And then
Yes.
definitely, like kids and all, we can educate them in the house. Everybody should take that social responsibility of educating the people who doesn't understand what vaccination can lead to.
That is a very important point because we as responsible citizens can do a lot because there's so much a government can do, there's so much state governments can do, but we also need to take some responsibility. People who are around us, who work for us, who perhaps are not so privileged and don't understand how vaccinations really work, it's our duty to in fact explain to them. Another health minister, in fact, Dr. Gauri, last week held a meeting with all states. The health ministers asked health ministers of all states to push vaccinations in a campaign mode, especially for those people who are, still not in the ambit of vaccinations, people who still not got their first dose. So door-to-door vaccinations also now have started. The government has allowed it. Do you think if states started, say for people who are especially abled or people who cannot walk and so forth, do you think that will also help?
Yeah, definitely. I think door-to-door vaccination is a very brilliant idea, and the healthcare force can be today involved in doing this day-to-day activity. I mean, that's gonna bring about a change. And I would even say that you talked about shops. Like, shops should make it compulsory outside their, shops, that you are entering inside my shop, you need to have a mask.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we,
So that adherence, not only becomes a responsibility of authorities who can't be there all the time in every place. My next question is a very important one, and many of our viewers who are parents are going to be listening to you, Dr. Gauri, for this one. Now, amidst a festive season, many states have also opened up school. It's in fact been a few months since the states have slowly, in a phased manner, started opening up schools. Is it a good idea? for children to go to physical schools, at least amidst the festive season? Or do you think till the time the festivals are on, which is October, October's gone now, but November, December, till the New Year's, say, should children avoid going to school? Or do you think that children with good immunity could perhaps go to school and it shouldn't be a problem?
Runjan, that's a very, very controversial thing, but I would still suggest schools should not open. I mean, that's my personal suggestion, and I would still feel that we should wait for the vaccination for the children. Let your children be vaccinated because though their immunity is very strong, but you don't know what the virus is going to create to them. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a matter of 2, 3 months. We can have the next session started. We can start in March. I mean, schools should be open only when children are vaccinated enough to go to school because it's the parents who give it to the children, then children spread to children, and then they get to their families, and the families have grandparents. So I feel that can create a ruckus. So according to my opinion, schools should not be open anymore.
All
And with
right.
the
And it's a good idea to continue with online education, at least till the time children don't have a vaccine, and which is something which is hopefully going to come in a couple of months. I mean, for
yeah.
first, of course, for
And
children with
thanks to
comorbidities, and then for the
thanks to
children.
our PM, Modi ji, he is making all the efforts to get the Covaxin for the children. Also, the Pfizer is there, which we can also get in our country. So definitely, I mean, we should wait and we should get our children vaccinated before sending them to schools.
All right, Dr. Gauri. And I also wanted to ask you, since the festive season is on, and since last year, the festive season has not been really how it has been for years, ever since we know how festivals are. Uh, do you suggest that this year perhaps we can wait a little bit more? And if we do, then say 2022 could be much brighter in that sense.
Definitely, I think 2022 is gonna be the brightest for us, and especially for India, where all our ministers, the PM, everybody is working together to get the vaccination and to vaccinate the complete country, and we get the herd immunity soon, and we fight out this virus. So I would say Happy Diwali to all the people. Celebrate it with love, happiness, brightness, and with your family more than getting out. And keep everybody
As
safe.
so, so on that note, Dr. Gauri, thank you very much for joining us, and thanks to all our viewers.